Hi everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to the next episode of Sydney Social Live, a one-of-its-kind, thought-provoking talk show where we put the spotlight on the hidden realities of modern-day social circles in Sydney. Why hidden realities? It's because these are issues that a lot of people are struggling with, but unfortunately not enough people are talking about these issues, except of course us here at Sydney Social Live. Now, what is the purpose of the show? The purpose of the show is to spark important conversations, promote positivity, and to cultivate a community that is accepting and non-judgmental. Now, you all know that each week I have a special guest, and today is episode number 24, and I have a very special guest with me today, the lovely Polly Datta.
Hello.
Hi, Polly, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Nim. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Are you excited?
I'm super duper excited, and also excited because it's a live show. I haven't done a live show before.
Isn't that amazing? How exciting.
It is, absolutely.
Well, I am sure that our audience is super excited to listen to you because a lot of people in the community already know you and are inspired by your amazing journey. So I'm sure everybody is eager to hear what you have to say today. So what I'm going to do before we dive in is I'm going to read a brief introduction for the very few people who may not know about you, right? Let's read out a little bit about Polly. So Dr. Polly Datta, she is of course popularly known as Polly. She's a gold medalist in academics and an internationally reputed academic. She is the Deputy Director of the Postgraduate Pre-Service Primary Program at Macquarie University and a Senior Lecturer in Inclusive Education and Educational Psychology at Macquarie University. As a scientist practitioner, Polly is passionate about translating research into practice. Her research interests are in inclusive education and with culturally and linguistically diverse communities. She has supported individuals with neurodevelopmental conditions such as autism, ADHD, sensory impairments, and intellectual disability. She was involved in a prestigious research project with the Australian Curriculum Assessment and Reporting Authority in designing and framing the national curriculum in Australia, with an aim to make it as inclusive as possible to support students with disabilities. Polly has published one sole-authored research book on intellectual disability, 4 book chapters with high-quality publishers, and more than 30 international peer-reviewed journal articles in high-impact publications. She was the recipient of several research awards during her academic tenure. The most prestigious ones have been the Graduate Scholar Award at the University of California in the US and the Outstanding Publication Award at the University of Adelaide in South Australia. My goodness, what a journey has this been, and I haven't even said half of what you've done, but how amazing! And she looks so glamorous and calm and controlled despite being this amazingly hardworking person. So we'll get all those secrets out eventually. But Polly, I know that you wear many hats, and in addition to what I've just read, which is really just a tip of the iceberg, so to speak, there are several other things you've done, particularly in the community and other pursuits. So would you like to brief us and tell us a bit about that as well?
Sure. So I have been involved in a few community development projects. So one was I served as a mentor in Key into Australia. So this is a support program that provides support to migrant women to transition into the Australian mainstream society. So I also work as an ambassador for the Community Migrant Resource Centre, and I also serve in the head of educator role for this non-profit organization called RRIC, that's Rights, Respect, Independence, Connect.
Okay, very good.
Recently, I've developed an interest in modeling.
Wow! In your spare time?
In my spare time. And I've done a few fashion shows and modeled for 2 local photographers. I participated in the Mrs. Australia Worldwide Beauty Pageant. I was one of the top finalists, and I won the title for the Spectacular Eyes Award.
Spectacular Eyes Award. I can see why she got that award. I'm sure those of you who know Polly well would agree. A very well-deserved award indeed.
Thank you, thank you. And,
Wow.
and then I've worked in a few commercials like ANZ Bank, A Tasker. This is an area that I'm developing.
Okay.
In my free time, I love reading and watching Bollywood movies.
We've got a lot in common there.
Yeah, I'm sure. And otherwise, I'm a fitness enthusiast and I love to hit the pool regularly.
Okay.
I also love bungee jumping, whitewater rafting,
Wow.
car racing, snowboarding, skateboarding.
You do all of these?
However, all achieved in my Wii console.
And here I was beginning to think, what? All these adventure sports, a massive list? Ah, that's the secret.
Yeah. But I can do all of that on my
Very
Wii
accomplished.
console.
That is funny. That is hilarious. But wow, Polly, I mean, hats off to you. You've done so much. Do you ever feel like 24 hours are not enough for you and that you could do with a few more hours in a day?
Well, I always wish that I had, because I'm always running late to everywhere that I have to go, and always I'm like always,
What else
okay,
have
something is left, nothing gets done.
Okay, now here's the thing, right? Polly gets done a lot more than us regular mere mortals. So what you leave undone is probably nothing to worry about. Because
Thank you, Nim. I'm getting embarrassed.
it's true. I mean, I've watched Polly for a long time. I've known her for a while, and she's always calm and collected and in control. So it's like those, the duck you see, very calm on the surface and under the water paddling away furiously. So I think that might be the secret to your success.
Thank you. You've been talking highly of me, but I must tell this, and not because we're on the camera, but this is something truly I feel from the innermost core of my heart, that when I read your posts, most of them are so inspirational. It just leaves me thinking, reflecting, and it's so heart-touching. Honestly,
Thank you.
This is coming right from my heart.
From the heart. How sweet. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now we're going to dive into our questions. We are going to begin with a little bit of a glimpse into Polly's early life. Can you tell us a little bit and take us back to those early years?
Sure. So I hail from the city of joy, Calcutta.
Oh, nice.
And I am the only child of my parents. So my father, he's an engineer, and he was in the corporate. So he retired as a managing director of a multinational company. And my mother is a homemaker. So she was a middle school maths teacher. And then when I was born, after that, she left her job and she became a full-time homemaker. I completed my schooling from Loreto House. So this is a very reputed Catholic school in Calcutta. So some Bollywood celebrities have gone through that school.
Okay.
So I had couple of them as my classmates.
Such as, who are these famous people?
So one was Riya Sen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, but that's a problem because now people will know my age.
But when they look at you and even if they figure out your age, they're going to look at you as, wow, so there's hope for the rest. That's what they're going to think.
Okay, and then I did my undergraduate, postgraduate education all at the University of Calcutta. For my undergraduate education, I was a gold medalist, so I topped the university, all subjects combined.
Wow.
And then I came to Australia to do my PhD in educational psychology and inclusive education. So University of Adelaide was the first university that offered me the scholarship, and I grabbed it. So this was the Adelaide Scholarship International. So this is again a very prestigious scholarship. Only 3% international students get this scholarship. So this covers tuition fees, living costs in the way of giving some stipends, and overseas health cover.
Okay.
So I came to Australia. This brought me here. And then I loved this land of gold and green so much that I made it my home. From there, my journey as an international student here. And then I started doing some casual lecturing at the university, got involved in research projects as a research assistant. And after submitting my PhD thesis, I got a full-time permanent job at the Australian Catholic University. That's when I moved to Brisbane.
Okay.
And here I am now at Macquarie University, and that's my life journey.
I feel like breaking into applause. Seriously, I mean, wow, what a journey has that been? Have you thought about writing your memoir or life story or something down the track? Seriously, as an inspiration to the younger generation. Maybe you should consider that, Polly. Yeah, something to do.
Did you do that?
On your to-do list.
Did you do that? Because you are a complete source of inspiration for anyone.
We are a mutual admiration society. So yeah, we both should think about that at some point, right? So before we move into our questions, I do want to tell everyone to leave a comment, and if you have a question for Polly, please do ask. I'm just going to shut another window because I don't want there to be any echo. Please let us know if there's any audio issues. I'll just say hello to a few people who have commented. So there's Samay Jain. Samay says, woohoo, yet another episode. Good to know you. Good to see you here, Polly. So Polly says hi, and it was nice meeting you, he says.
Yeah.
So that is good.
Yeah, I remember meeting him.
And I believe Polly has, hi Polly says, Gary, hi Gary. All right, so everybody don't forget to leave your comments. I love hearing where you're logging in from, so please tell us which part of the world, because it's not just Australia, we have people from different parts of India also tuning in.
Absolutely.
which is really nice. So at the moment India is 5.5 hours behind, and it's mid-morning for them, but it's really nice. So tell us where you're logging in from. You've got a question for Polly, put it in the comments. We'll do our best to address those during the live. But if we can't, for whatever reason, we'll come back to it afterwards. Yes? Sounds
Absolutely.
good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, now you've talked about your journey, of course, and that has given me an idea that international students and the life led by international students is something you've closely been familiar with, right?
Yes.
A lot of people watching us might be international students or know somebody, a dear family member who is an international student, and they would be really interested in hearing some of your insights on this topic, specifically related to what are some of the struggles you feel international students typically have to combat, and also what are some ways international students could assimilate into mainstream society, because that is a big struggle, right? So tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, I think for mainly the struggles that an international student go through, one would be language barriers. Not everyone, but there's a big segment of international students that could go through language barriers, and then academic difficulties, and I'll tell you in a minute why academic difficulties. The other things that I can think from the top of my head would be the rising cost of living in Australia.
Yeah.
So that could be an issue, discrimination at times, and even mental health problems.
Yes.
So these are some of the issues that international students go through. Academic difficulties, because I would think, that's what I experienced, that back in our country, especially in Asia, the curriculum content is not very researchy. So there's the nexus between research and theory and practice is not that pronounced what it is in Australia or any other developed countries. So it's not very research intensive.
Right.
And so when students come from Asia mostly, and even India, so, and especially those times when I came, so it wasn't very research intensive, not very application based. Like here it's very application based, very research intensive, the curriculum.
Yes.
And so to understand this new structure and how important it is to research, cite publications was a new learning for me and most international students.
Correct.
So therefore they do face, even in spite of many international students getting scholarships, they do experience some sort of academic difficulties because of this.
Interesting.
Yes,
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
You mentioned mental health, right? So that could also, a lot of that mental health, would you say is impacted or caused because of, homesickness or being away from their loved ones and just loneliness?
Yes, loneliness, away from loved ones, then social and cultural shock.
Yes.
So those are big reasons for them to
Absolutely.
feel, lonely and mental health problems. Yeah, yes.
Because very often they are the only person from their family who's moved away, right? And then suddenly, and you know how it is when you come, let's say for example, you come from a country like India, which is so community based and you're constantly surrounded by people.
Yeah.
And then you come somewhere where you know nobody.
Yeah,
I can
true.
imagine.
Absolutely, and sometimes we don't understand locally some of the way people talk, the phrases they use.
Yes.
I mean, I could give you so many examples
Yeah,
where I did
yeah.
silly things. And,
All of us did.
yeah, I mean, I was attending a class in the first month when I came to Australia,
Yeah.
and so there was another guy, an Australian guy, who was attending another class, and then we both went into the lift, and there were other people in the lift, and he asked me, "So how are you going?" And I was thinking, why does he need to know how I'm going to go home? Anyways, I thought, okay, anyways, if he's asking, I'll tell him. And I said, so I'm going to take the train from here, and then I'm going to get off there, and then take a bus, and then I'll go home. He was like, oh, no. In Australia, when we say, how are you going, means how are you? I was
How are you?
so embarrassed. So this is the first month when I came into Australia. So this is what.
Dear,
So I was like so embarrassed, and everyone in the lift started laughing, and I was like, all right, okay.
But see, now forevermore, you have an icebreaker topic to talk about at parties and stuff like that, because this is hilarious. Something a lot of people would resonate with,
Yeah,
right?
yes, I'm
so it's
sure.
the slang, the local lingo, and all of that is a
Yes,
struggle.
Yes, it is. And a way that students can blend in, I think. I would think firstly join clubs and societies because that way you could get first-hand experience of the Australian culture, understand the tradition, customs.
Yes.
So getting involved in club societies or maybe taking part in cultural activities like going to exhibitions or events, those sorts of things. You can get yourself more familiarized with the Australian culture.
Yes.
Even volunteering,
Very important.
volunteering work. So you give back something to the community, and that's a way that you get more insights into the Australian culture and you can blend in.
Yep, love
So
it.
these are sorts of things that international students should do to blend in. Another thing I feel that for an international student to be successful, it's very important hard work, dedication, sincerity, perseverance. You have to throw all the distraction at the back and focus completely on your goal. Once you achieve your goal, once you get into the job that you came here for, then you can attend to the distractions. You've got
Correct.
the rest of your life to attend to
Absolutely.
the distractions. But that time is so critical when you're here as an international student. You just need to focus on your goal.
Absolutely. Excuse me. And you mentioned something earlier about volunteering. I think that is not utilized as much as it should be, and a lot more people should be doing that, because like you said, it's the best way to get to know the local culture,
Absolutely, yeah.
get work experience. It's not always about being paid.
No, not at all.
Right?
Like not at all. When I was doing that mentoring program for Keen to Australia for migrant women, that's
Yes.
another thing we covered. And so volunteering work the pay is not important. It's just that involvement. And then I know someone, she had done volunteering work in a similar related field that she worked in India. And then that volunteering work actually gave her a really good paid job.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah.
So very important, everybody. I mean, Polly's just made a very important point. Volunteering is a great way to get to know the local culture, get to know the locals, and pick up some very, very vital skills that will come in handy in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Is that right? Fabulous. And thank you for sharing that. And because you've been in the boat and experienced it, it's coming pretty much from somebody who's lived the life that you may be living today as an international student. So that's very, very valuable. Thank you for sharing that. Have we covered everything we wanted to on this specific topic per se?
think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. Excellent. All right, that brings me to a slightly more serious topic, and it's about single parenting. Now, you've experienced life as a single parent. A lot of people watching could be in the same boat. Now, as single parents, people do face a lot of challenges that are very unique to the situation of single parenthood. Can you shed some light on what are some of those challenges and anything else that sort of sticks to that particular line of thought?
Sure. I think the most important challenge, I think, for single parenting, and this is so much, the single parenting is on the rise now, is the work-life balance, maintaining the work-life balance. That could be so challenging.
Yes.
Because you have to do so many things. So you have to look after your kids, and then you're doing a full-time job because you have to
Yes.
financially, pay the bills. Who's going to pay the bills
Yeah.
then? So you're doing a full-time job, you're looking after your kids, then you're maintaining the household. Just maintaining the household is a big task. Like, taking care of the groceries. What is finished, when it is finished,
Yes.
getting that, everything, like taking your kids to different activities. This is very, very challenging. So maintaining this work-life balance is a very challenging thing, I think, for
Yes.
for single parents.
Yeah.
The other thing, self-care, lack of self-care. because you just get so sucked into all these activities,
Yeah.
and then you have no time for self-care. And you're kind of juggling, and it can get very messy very quickly.
Yeah.
The situation can get very messy.
And you tend to put yourself last very often, right?
Very
Because like you said, you're juggling so many different tasks that self-care becomes something that goes on the back burner.
Absolutely, but that is something these years wouldn't come back. So I think that every parent, whether single parent or not, should reserve some time in the week that's exclusive time for themselves. They could do anything. They could nurture a hobby that they like, or they could just go to the salon and treat themselves to some beauty treatment, or take a massage, or do anything.
Yeah.
But that would just be for themselves.
Yes.
Every parent, single
Yes.
parent or not single
Absolutely.
parent, should reserve some time in the week, exclusively their time, my
Yes.
time. So even if you've got kids, great, you're working towards, helping your kids out in different activity stuff, but it is so important that our time is important, and don't let that just slip through and then 10 years later regret that, oh, I didn't do anything for myself.
Talking about self-care, Polly, I find that a lot of people, particularly women, tend to think of looking after themselves as a selfish activity. They think that it's selfish to put yourself occasionally first. And I'm sure you'd agree, right, that looking after yourself is not selfish.
Not at all. I think that's a high priority activity for me.
Thank you. I like that. Give me a high five.
I actually, if you talk about self-care,
Yeah.
I prioritize myself always.
Absolutely. And it doesn't make a person a bad mother
No,
or a
no.
bad partner or a bad daughter.
No.
You've got to look after yourself.
Of course, because if you are taken care of, only then you can become a good parent, you can be successful in your work career, your productivity at work would be better.
Yes.
So you'd get better outcomes in your life if you're
Yeah.
taking care of yourself. So it is not a selfish act, it's actually an act that everyone should do, because that's going to lead to better outcomes in your life.
Yes, and if you don't look after yourself, how can, if they say you can't pour from an empty cup.
No,
right?
you
So if you
can't.
haven't looked after yourself,
Yeah.
so please go for that facial, go for the spa treatment,
Absolutely.
do whatever it is that makes you happy, and it is not selfish. It is actually an act of great selflessness, because you're really doing it to serve the people who matter.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yes.
That's great piece of advice, and I'm sure a lot of people would have felt, that really inspired listening to you. That's fabulous. Now we come to a slightly chatpata, fun, light-hearted topic, okay? And it's related to social events, social circles. And you'd agree with me that so much has changed when it comes to how social circles operate, right? I know we have some interesting thoughts that are going to come from you when it comes to what are some of your observations when you've gone to large-scale events, social parties, whatever.
Yeah, okay. I think that in social events, people engage in a lot of trivial talks, but I don't know, this is just my perspective. I think that there's a wealth of potential we have in our community. So there's a wealth of intellectual potential, there's
Yes.
wealth of resources, so if few people could come forward and put their hands together, and they could work towards really meaningful stuff.
Yeah.
And because we do have a wealth of resources in our community.
True.
And just to tap on that and make use of that, I think that's something we should be all thinking about. Now, very recently, Gary and we did a coffee and care session. This was in alignment with that organization, RRIC, Rights, Respect, Independence, Connect.
Okay.
So we touched upon some issues like domestic violence and mental health concerns. So we organized a coffee and care session in Ride,
Okay.
and
Yes,
had people, we just asked people to share their perspectives and talk about their experiences, just talked on those topics. And even now we are providing support to people who are experiencing those issues. And something like that more meaningful, if few people can get together and work towards a meaningful cause, that's going to lead to such better outcomes, I think.
True. So what we're saying here is that there is so much potential that when we go out to these events, there are all these brilliant minds around.
Absolutely, yeah.
And often what happens is, instead of tapping into that brilliance, a lot of people tend to just have trivial or surface level conversations.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's how we see that, okay, we've got work tomorrow, so we just do, some surface level conversations, and then we go home. Instead of that, why don't we tap the potential that exists around us? And there is a lot of potential, I've seen that.
Very true, very true. Anything else that you feel you've observed in social circles?
Another thing I think what I've watched is that people nowadays use so much filters when they post videos. So and then so basically the person whom you see on videos, and when you meet that person in real, you say, well, who is this? Did I actually see you? So you basically can't recognize that person. And so I think it's okay to have some freckles on your skin and have some stretch
Wrinkles
marks,
or whatever.
some wrinkles or stretch marks.
Yeah.
But it's not okay probably for most people, and so
Yes.
and that has created so much of unnecessary pressure on beauty standards today.
True.
So everyone needs to have a very flawless skin,
Yes.
otherwise you're out from the rat race.
Also, I think that also lends itself to the mental health issues
Exactly, yeah.
that are happening, because people's real life and real life
So
are very
different.
different.
Yes,
right?
yes, so different.
So if we don't accept ourselves the way we are, if we keep presenting ourselves with the filters on, I think as a society we'll just go backwards, because no one is then going to be able to own themselves, and we'll always be ashamed of aging.
Absolutely,
Right? So that is important. Funny you said that, because the other day I met someone for the first time. And I'd only ever seen this person on social media.
Right.
And, flawless. I'm sure the filters were on. I don't really understand how the filters work, but I'm sure it was there. Because when I met this person, it took me a moment to recognize, because the real person and the real person was
totally
very
different,
different. But I made a very interesting discovery. I actually found her adorable. I found her so incredibly intelligent. And I realized that it is you, your thoughts, that make you who you are. It is not the flawless skin or the lack of wrinkles, right?
Inner beauty.
Inner beauty. So I think we don't really need to be so afraid. And sometimes it's okay, warts and all.
Yeah, of course it is
To
okay.
be seen, right?
Yeah.
That's how we should be. So
Of
there's something, a message from Polly, that accept yourself. It's okay, and aging is a natural part of life, right? So that's perfectly fine.
True.
Thank you. That was awesome. We've covered some amazing topics, and I'm sure the audience, like myself, has really. I could listen to you forever, like I always say.
And I could keep talking to you. It's actually so interesting and engaging to talk to you.
Because we're talking about topics that we're passionate about, right? It just makes it so interesting. But that brings me to what is known as my rapid fire round.
Right.
Are you ready for the challenge?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, Polly does a lot of adventure sports, like we just said. So what is a rapid fire when she could be whitewater rafting or whatever?
But I have my tricks.
That is true. All right, some quick questions. You don't have to give quick answers. If you need to expand, so be it.
Okay.
Okay. If you had to choose tea or coffee?
I was a coffee person. Now I've given up tea and coffee both.
What?
Yes, because I have a tendency to take sugar in tea and coffee, and I'm watching my diet. I'm not watching my diet. I have a lot of things that I shouldn't be eating, but I eat them. So at least I'm trying to control the sugar intake. That's so dangerous. So I've totally cut out tea and coffee and soft drinks from my diet. So they're totally out.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, but if I have to prefer, no, it will be Indian chai. Harris Park ka wo Indian chai.
Oh, nice. But tell me something, when you gave up tea and coffee, was there an initial period where you really struggled? Or
No,
was it?
I didn't. It was there in my mind that there was a switch. I just clicked that switch. I said, this is it. I have to give this up.
After today's session, I'm sitting and taking notes from Polly. How does one just switch off from something one loves so much? Because
I used to take 3 cups of coffee every single day. From that, I just decided, that's it, I am not going to take this because this is harming me. So it looked like there was a switch. I just pressed on that switch and said, no more tea.
presto! And then here she is.
So I don't take coffees now. Actually, I'm not.
Nothing.
For more than, I think, 5 years, I didn't take any.
So when you wake up in the morning, you don't need something to get you going?
No.
Wow.
I take hot chocolate. That's something I really like that. But coffee,
that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
Admirable. Amazing. All right. Books or movies?
If it's really a book that I would want to read, it's book.
Okay.
Otherwise, movies, because there's visuals and all, so obviously
Yeah.
it was more appealing. So
Interesting.
Yeah, movies, I would say.
Okay. All right. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl, completely.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So mornings are not like, your creativity comes at its best closer to...
Yeah. Even when I used to study or my speed and everything, the intensity to study more and more was when it was 10 p.m., 11 p.m., by 12,
Oh
1
my
a.m., like I'm like at my best.
So we are the complete opposites because I love waking up at the crack of dawn, and that's when I'm at my best.
No,
and
I'm
after
not.
7 p.m. I wilt. I'm just
No. I get a headache if I wake up very early in the morning. And so even while I'm working, if I've got tight deadlines and I have to finish something, I could be working till 2 a.m. and I'm fine with that.
Wow. That is amazing.
But not a morning person.
Not a morning person.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Now, a little birdie told me that you love kebabs. And a little birdie also told me you love mutton biryani. Right? So, if I placed both those in front of you and I asked you to choose one that you really love more than the other, what would it be?
Okay. So if that's the situation you put me into, although I'm watching my diet, I said I'm a fitness enthusiast, but still I'll make sure that I'm going to take mutton biryani, kebab, and eat abundant quantity
Of both.
both, and then go for swimming next day.
That's
But I'm
a
not
good
going
thing.
to sacrifice neither on the mutton kebab nor on the mutton biryani.
So you get basically, here's what Polly is essentially saying. You get one life.
Exactly.
And you got to choose between kebab and mutton biryani. Have both, but then go for a swim.
Exactly. And that's how I do that many times. If I've taken one hot chocolate and one chocolate cake, which both are like my super duper favorites, so I'll just take it. That's fine. Because I'll take
Love it.
And next day I'll just do
Work it
for
out.
at least 40 minutes swimming.
I feel so good after listening to this because now I realize that I really don't have to deprive myself of anything. Just go for a run or something the next. I don't swim, so that's not an option for me.
But
you know,
anything, jogging,
work it
running,
out.
you could be
Love it.
yoga or anything.
We figured it out now, so that's awesome. All right. Lastly, is what's your favorite cuisine?
Actually Indian. I like Mexican food. Anything very hot and spicy I love.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I could eat chilies also.
No way.
If it's already if it's hot and spicy, and I could still take a green chili externally and have it. So yeah. So
That-
anything hot and spicy. So Indian food I love.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your favorite. And is there a favorite restaurant that you love going to in Sydney?
Yes. I like Not Just Curries in Harris Park.
Okay.
So I've been there just yesterday.
Oh, really? Oh,
Diwali.
nice.
Diwali
Nice.
party.
So
Yeah.
this is not just curries.
Not Just Curries.
And what's your, if there's one dish on the menu that you will always, given a choice, you'd want to order that, what would it be?
That's going to be chingari kebab. Try it, guys. It's so good.
Chingari kebab.
Chingari
that
kebab.
sounds like it's got a bit of the spicy.
Absolutely, yeah. But it is so good, so good. You will thank me if you haven't tasted that. You must.
Chingari
Chingari kebab.
kebab.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's something. See, that's the problem. When I have Sydney Social and I ask this question, I'm always thinking, oh my goodness, I am starving. So, chingari kebab sounds amazing. Wow, this has been fun, and I can't believe that the time has flown already, but thank you so much.
Are we already on 5:30?
We've crossed it, which is amazing. We've been having so much fun.
Okay.
So I firstly want to thank you for coming on Sydney Social Live.
Thank you for having
And
me here.
No, it has been an absolute pleasure. Is there any last words you'd like to say to our lovely audience?
Last words. Well, I'd say that enjoy the cricket tonight. Because I'm
Very
going to
important.
very important, very, very important. And cheer for whichever team you are supporting.
May the
Cheer.
best team win.
May the best team win.
Yeah.
So I've got two different supporters in my home. So I'm supporting one team. My son is supporting another team.
Of course,
Yeah.
as is the case for a lot of us today.
Yeah. And enjoy the cricket and I'm going to make some duck curry and fried rice and
Wow.
so Gary and I are going to watch the cricket with some duck. That I'm going to cook all of that duck curry and
I think
fried rice and with wine.
Oh, look.
So just enjoy, just chill and enjoy the
game.
cricket.
Yes, you can't have an interesting game without interesting food.
Yeah.
Right?
And most important message is make time for yourself. Everyone, whether you're single parent, you are not a single parent, do make some time for yourself and nurture into something that you like.
I
It's so
agree.
important.
So important. Thank you so much. I have been truly inspired listening to you, and I love that whole thing about self-care being a priority. A lot of people tend to not do that, so please do that from now on. Make time for yourself. Do things that give you joy. Exactly like Polly said. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And thank you, lovely people, for spending a slice of your Sunday with us. I'll see you next week for the next one. Bye.